Alright, here we're going to do a quick video on scatter plots. This is something you might have learned before. It's just how to plot points on a coordinate system and kind of what the coordinate plane is. So let's first go through a little bit of vocabulary. So we plot our points on a Cartesian plane, which is named after mathematician René Descartes. And it has two perpendicular axes. The vertical axis is usually called the y-axis, and this is for your output. And the horizontal axis is typically called the x-axis, and this is for your input. So we use these kind of graphs to show a relationship between an input variable and an output variable. It could be something like input and output could be how much time you spend driving and then how far you end up going, or it could be how many hours you work and how much money you get. So there's a lot of relationships where there's some amount of input, and if you know how much input there is, then you can figure out how much output there is, and you can show that relationship graphically. So we divide the graph using the x-axis and y-axis into 4 quadrants. This first quadrant starts in the top right-hand side. Then we go counterclockwise around to quadrants 2, quadrants 3, and quadrants 4. The center point right here, which has an input of 0, you haven't gone left or right at all, and an output of 0, is called the origin. Okay, so these are kind of the vocabulary words that you may already be familiar with, or if not, that you want to get familiar with. So we talked about, oh, such and such point is in the second quadrant, or it's above the origin, or it's on the y-axis. So sentences like that, you want to have meaning in your mind. Okay, let's take a look at plotting some examples. So every coordinate point has to have an input and an output, and the way we write the points themselves is inside of parentheses, input comma output, or x comma y. So you have to have parentheses around it. That's very, very important, and a comma in between the input and output. So some examples of points that the way that you would write them would be 2, 0, or -3, 5. So that's telling you the input value and then the output value with the implicit idea that the input is on the x-axis and the output is on the y-axis. So we have to label this x and label this y. If they're not labeled, then they're implied that this is x and y-axis. So let's plot some points. The first point, 2, 0. The input is 2, so on the input axis, so the x-axis, I go over 2 units, and it's good to label. And I go up 0, so I haven't gone up at all. So my point is right here. Point A is plotted right there at 2, 0. Point B is -3, 5. So on the input I go -3. So first I go -3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm here at -3. And then output I go 5. So I go up 5. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I plot the point, which is just putting a dot, and I can label it B. Next one, C, -1, -1. So I go -1 here, and then -1 here. So that point right there is C. D is 0, 4. So 0 is the input. I don't go left or right at all. I go left, right, 0. And then I go -4 on the output or y-axis. So down 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there is my D value. And again, I can label that -4. It's good to label your increments. Are you counting by 1s? Are you counting by 2s, etc.? And E, over 1, up 2. So over 1 for the x value, and then up 2 for the y value. So that would be my point E, and I can label that as up 2. I could label that one as up 5. You don't have to label every single tick mark on your graph, but as long as you label 1 or 2 on the x-axis and 1 or 2 on the y-axis, at least that way the user knows what you're counting by, so they can fill in any intermediate values. Okay, so this is how you plot points. You just follow the first number in the parentheses is how far you go left or right on the input or x-axis, and the second number is how far you go up or down on the output or y-axis.